My name is Jennifer DeMudd, and I am with the Manufacturing Growth Alliance. Our mission is to support small manufacturers across the state. Thank you for being part of today's conversation. Digital technologies are impacting all manufacturers. The pandemic has accelerated the need for small to medium manufacturers to learn, access resources, and implement Industry 4.0 technologies to solve workforce challenges, increase efficiencies, and stay competitive.
As you already know, around the globe, Michigan is synonymous with manufacturing. But in order for Michigan to remain competitive and successful in the future of manufacturing, we must be the most advanced and productive by positioning our workforce and our companies at the forefront of technology. During our statewide economic development strategic planning process back in 2019, we recognize that we need to prepare our small and medium-sized manufacturers for the digital transformation that is already underway. And since the pandemic, this has only accelerated the need for the transformation. Next slide. In a national study shown here, only 12% of small and medium-sized manufacturers said that they were very prepared to adopt Industry 4.0 technologies, with the remaining saying that they're somewhat prepared or a little prepared or not prepared at all. And this presents a big problem when it comes to the future of our manufacturing industry. This convergence of digital and physical technologies all require new ways of thinking and working. And if we don't prepare for the onset of Industry 4.0 today, here in Michigan, a staggering 42% of our current labor force could be impacted by automation. Next slide. So how are we taking this potential risk and turning it into an opportunity for Michigan to become a national leader in this space? So we've established a multi-pronged effort to support businesses along this digital transformation journey. So in order to support manufacturers statewide, we have built upon our partnerships with two existing leaders to provide support services no matter where a company is on their Industry 4.0 journey. And you will hear from these two leaders later on in today's discussion. Our partnership with Automation Alley is all about awareness. Automation Alley is the Industry 4.0 knowledge center for the state and helps companies understand what this shift means for their business and their culture. And because of the enhanced partnership, all Michigan manufacturers have access to their education, their leadership evaluation, and their resources. And to complement our work with Automation Alley, the Michigan Manufacturing Technology Center is providing in-depth technology assessments for small and mid-sized manufacturers, recommending the Industry 4.0 technologies best suited for profitability improvement and job retention for each unique business. Additionally, they are providing the opportunity for companies to see the technologies firsthand through their roadshows. And at the same time, we will continue to address the proven lack of awareness of the impact and the importance of Industry 4.0 preparedness across the state through a comprehensive paid marketing campaign encouraging small and medium-sized manufacturers in Michigan to become better prepared for the future industry trends and growth. Next slide. So in addition to our partnership with Automation Alley and MMTC, we also wanted to support regional programming and initiatives. These regional partners are providing education, pilot grants, events, and webinars, increasing the overall awareness and preparedness of their different areas of the state. We'll turn it over to Eric Davis, Technology Investment Analyst at Automation Alley, to talk about what Industry 4.0 is.
Thanks, Natalie. So to talk about what Industry 4.0 is, because there's many different terms out there for, people use digital twins, for example, as a term for Industry 4.0. Let's take a step back and look at what are the previous industrial revolutions, right? So you have the first Industry 1.0, that's where we start incorporating power into our manufacturing. We get steam and we start using not just horses and humans to do our work, but we actually start using some sort of energy to produce things. Next, we have Industry 2.0. That's where we start getting into Ford's assembly line. We start mass producing things. This is where we really amplify some of the energy that we get through our electrical systems to really increase the amount of production that we can do on the physical side. When we get to Industry 3.0, right around the 1970s, late 1960s, that's where we start seeing the incorporation of automation into some of our manufacturing processes. So basic computers being overlaid onto our manufacturing processes and some small electrical components being put in there. So as we get to Industry 4.0, it's taking that next step of digital and physical and really taking all the decisions that we make as an organization and putting into this connected piece. So if you could think of Industry 4.0, it's the convergence of digital and physical technologies that are going to, widely disrupt the manufacturing industry in the sense that the way things were produced before may not necessarily be produced in the future. And when we look at different technologies available through Industry 4.0, we can think of one as additive manufacturing, where instead of taking a part and reducing it down into a more into a finished good, we can actually take the material and add it. So think of like a 3D printer using metal, plastic, things like that. The next piece would be artificial intelligence. So think of complex tasks that humans would normally do, but not necessarily as creative as what we can do, and putting those into machines and possibly computers to automate the process of certain things. So think of a collaborative robot going around your workspace, and it's able to understand, where to go, what objects are which to pick up, those types of things. The next area we talk about is big data. So think of looking at all the data your organization has and how is that all going to be analyzed and streamlined and then used for making decisions at an executive level, but also at a day-to-day level as well. Next, we look at cloud computing. So think of this as taking all of your systems and putting them onto a centralized server in an offshore location. So maybe not having the hardware physically on site, but more necessarily hosted in a separate place. So you can have more connectivity to third-party systems. The next one that most people know about is cybersecurity. So this is not only just protecting your basic systems in your back office, so like your email, client portal systems, but also looking at how can your systems be protected on the manufacturing floor. So that's a fairly newer concept in regard to cybersecurity, in which protecting not only just the back office, but also making sure that production doesn't get attacked in some sort of way. Next, we look at modeling, simulation, visualization, and immersion. So this is taking something that's physical and making it into a digital reality, right? So an example we can use along with AI being incorporated into this is training workers to build parts more efficiently and more safely. And so what they can do is while they're building the part, they may be able to get visible cues from some outside system to tell them, hey, as we're watching you build this, it might be more efficient for you to do it this way, and et cetera. Next, we have robotics. So these are the things, basically automated tools that can help go through and build things for your system and for your products. And then finally, industrial Internet of Things. So think of sensors that can be overlaid on top of physical things. And so when we think of Industry 4.0, not all of these technologies are going to be in a silo. Most of them, if not all of them, each of the technologies are going to be used in some sort of application. So for example, the collaborative robot that I talked about before, it may use sensors, so that's IIoT, to sense the area around them. It'll use AI to then analyze the data and make sure that it's doing the correct thing. It's a robot, so it's got that component of it. It may use some sort of visualization to understand the surrounding around it. So there's big data. As it collects more information, it may also incorporate that into decision making. So when we look at Industry 4.0, think of all the things that we do, not just on the manufacturing floor, but also when we're making sales, when we're in our marketing, when we're performing handoffs of information to operations and marketing and sales and finance, and how these all are connected together. So you might already be doing something that's Industry 4.0 related, just maybe the terminology is a little bit different, but just kind of clear the air of this is what we're talking about when we talk about Industry 4.0.
My name is Lance Lyons. I run Lyons Industries in Dowagiac. We're a family-owned business. We've actually, my father and grandfather started it in 1966. And we started off with a little plumbing vent that vented the plumbing gases out of a plumbing system in a mobile home. And now we make bathtubs and showers. I'm going to try to share my screen here. Can everybody see that?
Yes, we
Looks
can
like-
see Lance. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I wanted to share with you a little bit of our journey on how we got to put in robots. And Kristen, thank you for the explanation. I know we have a lot of technology, but I didn't realize this was the 3.0 part. So this is pretty cool. We made it to 3.0. We got a ways to go to get to 4.0. What really drove us to put in automation was that making stuff with fiberglass is really hard work. When I joined the company about 24 years ago, it was hard work then, and we were very concerned if our people could keep up with it. We had trouble finding people, but we didn't realize things would get worse instead of better. And really what's driving that is a shrinking population with the baby boomers aging out of the workforce and a slowing birth rate. There just physically isn't as many people as there used to be. So what really started us on this journey of robotics and technology, unfortunately, was injuries. We had a lot of injuries back in 2012, 2013, 2014. And that's when we really had no choice but to get into robotics to take the place of people pushing and pulling carts. You're about to see something here. You just saw the robot spray, but now you're seeing all these carts move forward. We just put that part in last September, and we have the same thing. If everybody can see my cursor, we have the same thing over on this line, and that was put in 2 weeks ago. So all of this technology that you see is put in over the weekends, so we don't lose any days of production. But that was really what drove it, was this need for reducing injuries. And that's why you see the camera system we have. We've got 36 cameras throughout our plant. That was to look at what was happening when people got hurt. Now, I'm very happy to say that people aren't getting hurt anymore, and it's a much safer environment. So we've been able to transition away from using the cameras as a what happened with an accident and actually how to run the plant with it. Our plant is 135,000 square feet, and it takes about 45 minutes to really walk it from one end to the other. But with making 1,500 plus pieces a day, 45 minutes, a lot goes on. So we can look at these cameras and see different departments very quickly. The other thing that drove the technology was turnover. Back from 2012 to 2016, we had over 200% turnover. We would average about 150 to 160 people on the payroll, and we were hiring over 300 people a year. So that contributed to injuries, that contributed to frustration, and we just had to do something different. But the technology came a long way from when we first looked at it back in 2014 to today. As everybody knows, it's changing so quick, it's very difficult to keep up. So that's really what's keeping me awake at night is, can we automate fast enough to keep up with the attrition and the lack of people available to do the work?
I'm with Michigan Manufacturing Technology Center. For those of you who may not be familiar with us, just quickly, we exist to help small to mid-sized manufacturers grow and prosper. We are a manufacturing-specific training and consulting company, and we take care of all of Michigan. So we're very passionate about Michigan. As Natalie had said, we have partnered with the state to help get half of manufacturers in Michigan ready to adopt technology by 2025. And we've actually been working in the Industry 4.0 space for several years. So this is one of our passions. We have a lot of subject matter experts on this. We, however, do not sell technology. So when we work with manufacturer around technology, we're as a trusted advisor, as a consultant, potentially as a project manager, but we're not selling the technology. So we're not going to come in and tell you, you have to have, this particular MES system or these particular sensors, you should do this. So we're there to be your trusted advisor. And how we're doing that is we have a technology assessment that's available to manufacturers. It's a free service that is part of this program where we would come out and spend about 2 hours in your plant. That would consist of a plant tour, but also a conversation around what are you doing currently with technology? So what's your strategy? Is there a need for it? Are your customers requiring it? Do you have a process or a strategy that we want to get to this point with technology? We'll also talk about how are you using the current technology that you have. So do you have an ERP system or an MEP system? Is it working well for you? What's making sense? What kind of systems and processes do you have in place to support that technology? And what makes sense? And ultimately, then after that conversation, we kind of put our heads together and come back with a report out or what we call the opportunity assessment. And so basically what we're able to come back to you with is an understanding of what your options are. So what would make sense? Where's the opportunity? So for example, we worked with one company recently that we found that there was a significant opportunity for an MES system, which is the ability to collect production data, production scheduling, that type of thing, that was going to allow them to get their inventory under control. In addition to that, we helped them with some lean work to shore up the process that would then support that system. And when we calculated the ROI, the payback was less than 3 months. So it was kind of a no-brainer. And the annualized savings were going to allow them to then further invest in technology a little bit further down the road. We've had other businesses that we've worked with where we're helping them with a significant technology implementation. So censoring up things, getting MES, automating lines, auto pack and offloading, those types of things. And what we're finding is that a lot of companies aren't necessarily aware of what type of technology is available to them, and really that it can be cost effective now. So a lot of us think of technology as industrial robots and how, I have $100,000 for that, or I don't need that. But there, as Eric was explaining, there's a lot more to Industry 4.0 technology than just that. And so there are a lot of very cost-effective implementations that can be done that have a very quick and significant return on investment. So not only are you going to get your ROI, but there may be additional annualized cost savings, again, that allow you then to reinvest into something else in your business. The other piece of it is sometimes you don't need technology yet, or the processes and systems themselves, the foundation of your business, needs to be shored up and stabilized to then support technology. And so that's where we come back with this. What makes sense right now? Where is the low-hanging fruit? Or maybe it's the high-hanging fruit too. Where are the opportunities for you to do things like increase capacity, right? So I'd like to increase capacity and efficiency. I'd like to find cost savings and reduce costs. I'd like to improve my employee experience. So getting better retention and traction, and then people are happy and more productive. I want to improve quality. Those are the types of things that we're looking for. And are there ways to apply technology to do that? Are there ways to apply lean principles or other things? We can also look at, cross-training and skills and culture and leadership. So what are the ways that we can get you to be able to do those things? And again, the intention is always to start with the low-lying fruit where you can get enough of a cost savings that it will pay for the next thing, right? So the investment that you're making is more of a one-time thing, and then it kind of pays for itself to get other things improved as you go, and to get you on a path to a strategy that gets you to be the most effective and most competitive that you can be, and then thus help you grow and prosper and help the state.
So I'm going to talk about the leadership evaluation, which is another effort we're doing with MEDC and MMTC. And essentially, it's a continuation of the Industry 4.0 assessments we do here at Automation Alley. But we've tailored it down to manufacturers. So we're using a data set just for manufacturers. And it's a lot more simple, high level. The idea is when you take the leadership evaluation, you're going to come out with a few actionable steps that can at least get you towards the right next step, the Industry 4.0, which is really about growing your business. And that's the connection we want to make with the leadership evaluation. Is it's not just a technology issue, it's a whole business issue. And how do the issues and challenges and opportunities that you face in the day-to-day, how does that impact technology adoption? So to do the leadership evaluation, all you need to do is, you got to be part of the leadership team at your organization. Just one person fills out a simple online form. You can do it from your phone. The questions are simple. It may take you a little time to formulate the right answers, but it's on a scale of 1 to 10. Just kind of giving a baseline of where do you feel the company is at in certain areas. And when we look at the companies, we look at them in 3 different ways. We're looking at the culture of the organization. We're looking at how it develops strategy in the organization. And we're looking at how does it execute that strategy and how does that feed back into the culture. So once you fill out the online form, it kicks out a report that basically gives you a high level overview of what does your business look like compared to other manufacturers that we've taken through our evaluation and through the assessment. So you'll have a chance to look at, just based on your business model, what revenues you get, what industries you sell to, how differentiated your products are, what competitive advantages you may or may not have. How does that compare to other organizations like yourself? And we basically round that up into a metric called business complexity. And essentially we're saying, how complex is my business compared to other ones? And it's kind of a reality check to say, okay, if it's this complex, I should be handling it in a certain way. So it's a way for you to get a high level understanding of where your business fits in the compared to other manufacturers in the state of Michigan.
After you get a chance to listen to these educational webinars, you might find yourself asking, how do I know if my company is ready to implement some of these technologies? In phase 2 of the MGA-EGI Regional Partnership, EGI will conduct a top-down analysis of the company. So after signing a non-disclosure agreement to ensure your company's data is protected and excluded from the Freedom of Information Act, EGI will conduct a detailed financial analysis of the company, including a ratio analysis and company valuation. Have you ever wondered what your company would be valued at? EGI's analysis will not only help you to better understand its value, but this analysis allows us to see into the company's stability and strength and financial aptitude to handle and integrate these new technologies. So for companies that have that financial stability and aptitude, EGI will then conduct an operational analysis to further evaluate other areas of the business critical to tech integration while we're touring your facility. This will include leadership, sales, planning, marketing, people, operation, all that good stuff. Both the financial and operational analysis are done at no cost to you and with very minimal time commitment. EGI's output of phase 2 is a leveled set recommendation to increase the firm's value and recommendations for high leverage points of Industry 4.0 adoption that will be recommended as implementation projects to use that $10,000 on. Next slide. To implement the high leverage point Industry 4.0 projects, our team will find the best resources for you to implement the project and will project manage its implementation alongside with your team.
Talent is one of the biggest needs right now. What is the state doing alongside the Industry 4.0 initiative to support, we'll say, reskilling of the workforce and be able to, so that they are able to operate new technologies? Natalie?
Yeah, that is a great question and one that we get all the time. First of all, we are so fortunate here in the state with a highly skilled workforce. We rank top 10 in the nation, and we have the highest concentration of engineers in the country. I think, for any company right now, the biggest challenge is talent and using the workforce that you have effectively. And I think that's what Industry 4.0 is all about, is, how to use the finite resources of your skilled workforce and having them do the work that requires their human attention, we'll say. So in regards to what the state is doing, so here in Michigan, Governor Whitmer has made it a top priority for her administration. She laid out a statewide goal to increase the number of Michiganders with post-secondary credentials to 60% by 2030, And this will help us build that talent infrastructure that we already have in the state, and provide companies with the confidence that Michigan has the workforce that they need. Additionally, we have programs like the My Reconnect program, which is a workforce development initiative that creates a tuition-free pathway for Michiganders to receive in-demand industry certificates or associate degrees. And we are already working to both anticipate and fill the skills gap that exists in our talent pipeline to prepare for Industry 4.0.